Hi, I'm Julia. Welcome to the Writer's Room again. Today I have for you a story that my husband and I wrote together. It's the second chapter of our Appalachian Trail hike. It's called the 5-Day Rule. It's short, but it's kind of fun and funny. Every little sound of twigs snapping that night, I was sure there would be a bear ready to piñata our tent to shreds, with us, the prize of fat candy inside. This morning our bodies ache and there are pains not before felt. My question again is if we can do this or not. Upon the ridge, casting a nice glow of sunshine on our campsite, we find a renewed sense of adventure. Determination runs through us now that we've made it through the night. Nick is already busy disassembling our camp area. He is struggling trying to deflate my air mattress. It hisses and squeaks as he attempts to make it smaller so it'll fit in my pack. We then double check our area to make sure we have everything before we buckle our straps and hike. Nick takes a verbal inventory that would become routine. Okay, Audrey. Got everything? Poles, wallets, phones, smokes, lighters, etc.? Because once we walk forward, we're not coming back. He likes to call me different names, so Audrey's just his pick of the day. With a late 9 a.m. start, we're about an hour behind other hikers. But one of the nice things about the AT is that there is no schedule and you hike your own hike. We set off for a 10-mile day, which, unbeknownst to us, is a cakewalk, compared to the 20 to 25-mile stretches the through hikers manage. Walking in wonderment through the rhododendron bushes and pine and oak trees, we share the thought that there can be no place like this on Earth. We are so happy to be here. We scurry down a ridge about 2 miles and descend into Gafflin State Park in Maryland. We will pass through many of these small parks north, many of them also being historical Civil War battleground areas. We come to a nice mowed area with benches here and there. We also find 2 other hikers here. It's Ted and Joe. They have hiked every summer for the past few years, some 200 to 300 miles or so. They are more than halfway from completing the entire AT. Ted happens to be the man Nick met last night during the bear bag incident. Both Ted and Joe are kind and incredibly knowledgeable of hiking. They are experts concerning gear, food, and what you should or should not be carrying in your backpack. If not for meeting them the second day of our hike north, we most likely would have marched back to Harper's Ferry and jumped on the next train to D.C. The chance meeting and befriending Ted and Joe would be a game changer for us. Feeling the need for a break, we dump our packs and flop down onto a bench. Ted strikes up a conversation with us about the next 30 miles or so and its significance in history. The battles that were fought here between the North and the South, the monuments we might see along the way. He says, if we look closely enough to some of the stone walls, we might just spot a long-forgotten gravesite of Confederate and or Union soldiers buried in haste during the deadly battles that afforded these lush green lands and their place in America's history of freedom. We decide to confide in our newfound friends that we are novices and unsure of what we are doing, and if we are doing it right. One of the biggest complaints we have is our backpacks. They just don't feel right. Are they supposed to feel this way? Are they too heavy? They're digging in at the shoulders and sides. Nick is getting blisters and red marks on his hips that really hurt him. Ted says we should do a shakedown. Dump everything out of your packs and see what you can get rid of on your next time that you're through a town. And you can ship them home. Some adjustments are made to the straps and the sides of the main frame itself, shorting it, making for a better fit to carry. Now that our contents are splayed out on the ground, it's determined that both our packs need to have some serious adjustments made. There are a lot of items we are carrying that we just don't need. An extra pair of sneakers, a multi-pound Arctic sleeping bag in June. Jeez. Too many shirts, shorts, socks, books, a deck of cards. Seriously, what were we thinking? We would be able to send these items back home sometimes later. That is, if we truly and earnestly hike on. I am honest with myself and Nick for the first time about my confidence to hike on. Maybe we made a mistake. Maybe we should go home. Ted says this: Joe and I abide by the 5-day rule. Don't give up until you've been out at least 5 days. We both find Ted's words comforting, as well as permission to be in the moment in the woods without the pressure of failure. Ted's wife, Jo, adds, "You guys can do this. You can tag along with us if you like and learn the ropes. Ask as many questions as you want." "That would be awesome," I say. I give a smile and a reassuring nod to Nick. We pack up and shove off onto the white blaze ahead. The next few days pass with easier terrain and well-slept nights. The Maryland section of the AT is filled with historic Civil War monuments and battlefields. From the ridge, we look down onto an expansive valley where the Battle of Antietam took place. Nick, being a bit of a history enthusiast, shares his excitement and knowledge of the bloodiest battle of the Civil War. "You can almost imagine the soldiers and cannon fire here," he exclaims. "The general stood right here and commanded the troops over there," he adds. "Okay, let's go," I say. Nick drops his head in hands in frustration after seeing my unexcited response. We ask endless questions of Ted and Jo, and they happily volley answers that help us hike smarter and stronger, showing that we can make it to the Mason-Dixon line. Pennsylvania, here we come. I know it was really short today. We were trying to make a 5-day section that we hiked before coming back into civilization in like a town to be a little more interesting. A lot of hiking really isn't that interesting. Some of the most interesting things are, aside from seeing bears and deer and many different wildlife and the snakes, is really other hikers that you meet. We met some of the most incredible people, Ted and Jo being a great example of how if we hadn't met them on that second day out, we might have turned around. They really helped us out and made us feel a lot better about being so incomplete in our knowledge of what we were doing, how to live outside and walk many, many miles each day, and to get to your goal. So we're going to try, maybe in a few weeks or a month, we will get into a broader story, get you some bears and the rattlesnakes. There was a lot of them, and some of the really great hikers that we met along that time, and give them some notice too. Thanks for listening today. And I'd really like to wish you good thoughts and to say good words and to do good deeds.